The question is, do you believe life begins at conception? And if elected, would you vote yes for a bill to protect life at conception? Why or why not?
Yeah, as I said in my opening statement, I am 1,000% pro-life, with two exceptions. I think in the case of rape or incest, a woman should have an option. If there is a medical emergency, not deemed by a bureaucrat or a politician, but deemed by the doctor that it's a life or death situation, then I think that should be allowed as well. But yeah, if you're responsible enough to have a baby, then you ought to make a baby. You ought to be responsible enough to raise it. And every life does begin at conception. But those two stipulations, I think, need to be provided. That's a situation that is no fault of anybody. So they shouldn't be punished for it. And, there's been a lot of talk about women getting the death penalty and all that rigmarole. That needs to be out. We need to all stand together on this pro-life issue. That's something that I agree with President Trump. That's my man, by the way. And I love everything he does. Voted for him twice. I'll vote for him again. It'll be the only time I vote for a convicted felon, but I'll do it. But yeah, I'm 1,000% pro-life.
Thank you, Mr. Carson.
I'm going to bet that everybody up here is pro-life. So, I'm 100% pro-life. Even beyond that, I'm a perfect example of what pro-life is. I'm adopted. I have the opportunity to be here today because my mom chose to have me. I got a great mom and dad that adopted me when I was nearly 3 years old. But with saying that, if we're going to have pro-life laws, and we have laws on the book now for the heartbeat law, we've got to have the services, the backing and the support of these women to help them through this time. The number of people that I've talked to have said, look, it's great, but there's no services to support these women, or not enough services to support these women. Would I back new laws? I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, I would back a new law without seeing what that law is, without reading through that law thoroughly, because that would be, I think, irresponsible of me to say, yes, I would back the new law, not knowing what it is. But I am most definitely 100% pro-life.
Thank you. Mr. Mumfeld?
I am pro-life because I believe in the absolute power. Many people that you ought to speak to will have different opinions on issues, but me, I have an absolute truth. I follow the Word of God. I graduated from Lighthouse Christian Academy, and my parents, my dad's a retired minister, so the entire life I grew up, that life is precious. I am pro-life, and there's something that really we all need to be asking ourselves. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but where does it say in the Constitution that because you pay taxes, that money has to go fund something that your faith and your religion tells you is wrong? I don't know. That's a good question. Like I said, I've wondered this. I don't know anybody personally, but where does it say that if I believe that abortion is wrong and I'm paying into a system that says it's right, is that not infringing on my faith? It's something we need to think about, something going forward. We just need to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Huff?
Yeah, I'm pro-life, absolutely pro-life, and I believe that we have an obligation to protect life. I believe that obligation is inherent, not only in our foundational documents, obviously also from our absolute authority. And so I believe that in all cases, we should be striving to protect life. I agree. I love the idea of more services. I think we spend a lot of money as a state, as a federal government, on destroying life that could be used for saving life. So, all that money that's going to Planned Parenthood, man, if we were to put that money into counseling and so forth, man, that would be great places, services for folks that need it in these situations. But I'm going to take it one step further and tell you that, and this is not always the most popular opinion, but I'm just going to tell you, I don't believe that life changes. I don't believe that the rights of that baby, that child at conception change just because of rape and incest. I believe that life is still a life, and I believe that we need to be saving and protecting life. Does that mean that that person should be saddled with taking care of that life? No, that's where we need these services. But I'm going to be a fan of saving life. In other words, if there's life-threatening situations for a mother, then that doctor should deliver that baby, and we should do everything we can to save the mother and the baby at that point. We should be saving all life, according to everything I believe.
Thank you. Okay, question 3. Many of us have received mailers and heard campaign ads sponsored by the Palmetto Truth Project. Do you believe the Palmetto Truth Project is a concerned conservative group that wants to promote truth, or do you believe it's behind who do you believe is behind the Palmetto Truth Project?
Well, absolutely they're not concerned about conservative values. There was an article that was written about all of us in the South Carolina Daily Gazette, I think it was, that came out this week, that really elaborated on that. And the Truth Project is coming directly out of the South Carolina Republican caucus, or at least has some really tight ties to it. And it's bashing those conservatives. Why? Because it's changing the values of South Carolina. They want to change the values. Look, I travel the country. There's been advertisements I've seen in Portland, Oregon, advertisements I've seen in the New York Times in New England. Come to South Carolina. It's the best place in the world to live. Couldn't agree with you more. But I think that they're bringing them here to further change our politics. And they're using money from caucus members and others to change our system, our way of doing things from conservative to liberal. It's happening.
Thank you. Daniel?
Could you ask the question again?
Absolutely. It's for Daniel.
Oh, I did, yeah.
I forgot to use the mic. Many of us have received mailers and heard campaign ads sponsored by the Palmetto Truth Project. Do you believe the Palmetto Truth Project is a concerned conservative group that wants to promote truth? Who do you believe is behind the Palmetto Truth Project?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen them come in the mailbox. I mean, I thought we were coming here to debate about issues that's facing our district. I mean, no offense to the questions. I'm not worried about a mailer. I mean, how many times has a mailer changed your attitude or thinking towards your voter, I thought we were coming here to ask questions about infrastructure or ask questions about what's really bothering district and this state, We need to really start focusing on what really matters here. I mean, with this whole, what is this one and what is this one? I mean, how am I supposed to know what they do or what they think, All I know is that we need to fix a bridge that's been in Fork Shoals for almost 3 years. It's been down, We need to get a bridge over a railroad that's been out for over 5 years over a Magnahan Road, There's no shoulders. So many neighborhoods are coming in. Infrastructure is not fixing the shoulders on the Call Road or North Moore Road. I mean, and then we got a 10-year energy plan coming. I mean, where do we stand on the 10-year energy with eminent domain in our state constitution? I mean, why can't we start asking questions that actually matters to the voters, Thank you.
Good job, Dan.
Chris?
So I think the answer to this question actually answers a lot of the things that you just pointed out. The money and the agenda that has been poured in all across the state to keep conservatism out of Columbia actually speaks to why the accountability and responsibility is gone or not being applied to the budgetary matters that would take care of those bridges and those roads and the various issues, not only in DOT, but in education and in other areas across our state and across our counties. There is a definite swamp that enjoys being able to redirect funds to places that they choose rather than the places that those funds are taken up for, such as infrastructure. And so when that is threatened, then they get everybody they can to donate so that they can attack the threat. And that's what's taking place. Absolutely, the Palmetto Truth Project has zero to do with conservatism and everything to do with safeguarding the swamp. And the reason they want to safeguard the swamp is so that they continue to safeguard the funds that should be used for the essential things that you just highlighted.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I've gotten mailers too, you know, and that's the thing I hate about politics, you know, getting the dirt. I think we've seen enough of that in the past two presidential elections with Trump and Hillary and Trump and Biden. We always got sick of it. And, you know, my opinion on this, I don't know if they're promoting true conservative values or they just have a specific agenda that they're trying to get to. But I do know this. Most of the time, when somebody's throwing mud, they're scraping it off their own back, throwing it somewhere else. So you can take that to heart with that. Like I say, I don't know anything about their business practices or what they're after. All I know is they ain't been after me. So, you know, I think if that's the dirtiest part about this politics, you know, the part that's hard to swallow is stuff like that. You know, like getting back to our values and what matters, like what Daniel said, what matters is that all of us stand up here and we tell you what kind of person we are and what we stand for and what our values are, and you pick the guy that you think represents you best. And that's what it should all be about. It's a shame that it's gotten to the situation it's in, but with enough conservative Christian leaders getting back in office, I think we can get back there one day.
Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do with question 4 is that each of you will have an individual question. But what we're going to do first, and you're going to ask for just 30 seconds, and you will do 2 minutes for each answer, is I'm going to ask you the question that we're going to ask Carrie Smith and see what you think about this. This would be for her. You have 30 seconds to answer. We want to know what you think about this question. Okay, you have 30 seconds to answer, and then I'm going to ask you, what we'll do is when I ask you your question, please respond to it, and then answer the question that I will give you. Is that clear? Is that okay? Okay, we're going to start with Chris first, okay?
Well, we're all answering Carrie's question first.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm going, okay, sorry. I'm going to read the question for Carrie. For you, you have 30 seconds to respond to it if you would like. If not, that's okay. But also, I'm going to read your question as well, and you'll have 90 seconds for that, and the ladies will time you. Okay? All right. This would be the question for Carrie Smith. According to your campaign disclosure form, you received the most amount in cash contributions among District 28 Republican candidates. Records showed many contributions coming from several states outside of South Carolina, as well as large donations from the Hospital Association Political Action Committee and Blue Cross Blue Shield. If elected, will you be representing the fine people of South Carolina District 28 or special interest groups? Your question is this. You don't have to respond, but
Can I just respond to that first and then do my question?
absolutely.
Yeah, let's just do that. I stand for health freedom. So I don't know where all that money's coming from there. I can't speak to what she's gotten or where she's gotten it from. But what I'll tell you is I don't want us to end up in another situation where we get shut down because of some kind of Fauci-like situation. I know Troy spoke to that earlier, but I'm absolutely for that as well. So I'll leave that as my answer.
All right. Here's your question. Well, ask you a question. Who asked you to run? Excuse me. Who asked you to run for House District 28 as a Republican candidate, and why?
So obviously that story is out there pretty wide at this point. But I was on the phone with current Representative Trantham, and she voiced to me her concern for the future of District 28, and expressed to me that she knew that our values, our ideology was similar, not similar, but the same, and expressed that if I would run, that she would certainly endorse my candidacy. And so after prayer and consideration, discussion with my wife, and then another 2-hour conversation with Miss Ashley, I prayerfully considered representing and going down there to continue what I believe is the great work that she's been doing for what will be 7 years. I've always appreciated the stands and positions that she's taken while she's been in Columbia. And I'm no Ashley Trantham, but I certainly would like to represent and fight for, espouse the same values that we've had espoused for us during her time down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay, Mr. Callett, this is your question. And you may respond to the question about the outside money. Why didn't you attend the first Republican forum and debate at the Simpsonville Public Library?
All right, that's the easy one. That's an easy one. I was hit with a protest from Mr. Huff and had like 9 hours to clear it up. And I felt it was more important to the people of District 28 that I get that cleared so I can continue in this race. And it was cleared, and everything's okay. So that is exactly why I missed that debate.
Okay, do you want to have an answer for the extra money from out of state?
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
We were doing that one first. But,
Okay. Answer that too.
Yeah, the extra money from out of state, it is coming from everywhere. And I think at the last debate, Gary said that was all her friends and business contacts, and it may very well be. I'm not sure. Some folks get up and they say, I don't know where my money comes from. I can tell you exactly where every cent comes from that I've gotten raised to me, because it's not been a whole lot. But yeah, not been a whole lot, but we're making the most of it, and we're doing our best we can with it. But that's all I can say about it.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Mr. Prosser?
Can I ask her question first? Answer her question first?
Absolutely,
Thank
yes.
you so much.
Listen, I'm going to be frank. I don't think Ms. Smith is going to represent District 28. You go back and you look at her voting record, she voted for Hillary Clinton. Bottom line. You look at where the money's coming from, it's not coming from majority of the people here at District 28. It's coming from out of state. It's coming from big liberal groups that are going to control her. See, my dad told me something early on in life. You take money from somebody, you're beholden to them. That's why I've only taken money from citizens here at District 28.
Here's your question. You were interviewed by WYFF and spoke of your support of school choice. Please define school choice, including public funds for private schools.
Absolutely. I'm in the technology world. I design fiber optics for data centers. And guess what? I'm in these really cool AI data centers. Not cool? They're scary. The curriculum that our kids are going to be taught, well, my grandkids and maybe some of your guys' kids, is going to be AI generated. Who's going to control that? We don't know. Parents should have the ability to invest their money into their children's education the way they see fit, period. The money should follow the student to where they want to go, to where their parents want them to go. Whether it's homeschool, private school, public school, the money should go to the parents for them to invest in their children's education. Bottom line.
Thank you. Okay. Do you want to answer this question? You have 30 seconds.
So I'm kind of a nerd, so I like to follow the numbers and kind of do some research. So I just picked a random name off of Ms. Smith's ethics report. I traced it all the way back to a lady in San Jose, outside San Jose, California. That's southwest. I mean, that's the southern part of California, and we all know the ideology of Southern California. Well, this lady not only donated to Ms. Smith, she also donated to another candidate in Tallahassee, a gentleman running for a township. They don't call them county council, but township. But I will tell you briefly that when you're, okay, well, I guess I won't tell you briefly then, thank you.
Well, maybe you can answer on with your question. According to your campaign disclosure form, your campaign has received the lowest amount of cash contributions. Why do you believe you received so little financial support?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's either I'm just grassroots, and I don't feel like taking people's money on a primary. And I'll tell you why. We have a contested primary with 5 people. And I don't want to feel like you may have your faith in me, and I appreciate that, but I don't want to feel like I let you down if I fail in the primary. You know, that's your hard-earned money, and all you can do for me is to support me in the ballot, in the polling area. You know, and I just don't want to take any money. I took friends' money. I mean, they're my friends, and then I took my family. You know, but and like I mentioned earlier, you know, I'm just your next door neighbor. You know, I waste time watching ETV live streaming how the state house runs and the rules, and believe it or not, I know a lot of the representatives and how they behave on the floor, and I just want to represent you guys, not because of money, you know, but because of your interests. You know, if a donor or a special interest group wants to help me out, you have to reflect my values, not anyone else, not your values, the PAC values. And I feel like responsibility and integrity is important in this position, because this is not just a January through May. This is an entire year for 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. You're good. Okay, it's time.